Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This evening we will be working. Well, I say this evening. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, it could be any time of day for you. We're going to be working on a web application using the Safe Stack. So, to get ourselves started, because I've already kind of done a little bit of this, let's go across there. I've now got a project set up. Just to have a quick glance through what this project is, what it does, why it exists, why files exist. We've got a yarn lock file. This is all JavaScript nonsense that I don't understand. I can't say nonsense, can I? I shouldn't be calling it nonsense. This is all about the JavaScript packager that we're using. Webpack this is all again pre-written. This was for how to package up. This is the instructions essentially on how to package up the JavaScript that we're not going to be writing because we're going to use F#, because why would we not? Quick readme, that's the standard safe readme. The packet stuff, we know what packet looks like. Package.json, so these are just the packages rather than the lock file. We have a Docker file, which we're using .NET Core 2.2. And the Docker extensions recommended. Okay, let's add the Docker recommendation. In fact, we've already got what's required, what's recommended in here. Let's have a look for the Docker one. No, we've got that one included as well. What other Ionide things are there? Because I'm wondering if there's an Ionide Fable. There is not. There's Ionide Packet, Ionide Fake, and Ionide F#, and we have all of those. So let's carry on moving in the files in this folder, obviously going from bottom to top because I would. We have a dispatch YAML file, which just says that we're going to use that URL for this service. This is part of the Google Cloud Platform stuff that we're using, because I'm going to try and get this onto Google Cloud Platform at some point. Build file is once again a relatively standard fake build file, and yes, I can see that it's coming up with a ruck of issues. This is probably because we haven't built it in this particular setup yet. So if I do a fake build, hopefully it'll manage to build on this machine reasonably fine and all the rest of it. So as we'll find out later, the Safe Stack did have a bit of an issue with it when I downloaded this, so I made a couple of alterations to this build.fsx file. Now, I do believe if you were to grab the template today, as in this evening, roundabout nowish, you should, or if this is on YouTube, again, anytime after you see this, you should be able to not have to make the changes for Windows. So essentially I've had to put the gcloud tool in and use that rather than just using gcloud in its own right. So this is only really if you want to build on the Google Cloud and deploy up there. So we've got a build run, and that's happy. Git ignore editor config as normal. Where we're going to be working is in the source here. We have a client project, server project, and a shared project. This is set up using Fable remoting. So we have a root module here. Yes, we know it can't be found in any past project, don't worry. And we have APIs, so we can work strongly typed between the client and the server. Major advantage of using the same technology on both sides is that this is relatively easy to do. Oh, what's going on here? We've got a restart to update. We'll do an update live on stream at some point soon. I think VS Code is getting to the point where that's reasonable. So, server and client. Client just really contains the F# project. We've seen this before. This is Fable. We saw this in the Elgato Stream Deck project. We also saw the model that we're using here in the Twitch Deck project. So this is once again model view update. We've been here before. None of this should be new to people. If it is, please do slow me down. You'll notice that I know that We haven't had much in the way of questions this evening so far. If people do have questions, please ask them. I don't believe there's such a thing as a question that's silly or that's too simple or whatever. So please get involved, everyone. This is not... I'm not trying to lecture. At the moment, I'm just kind of going for a bit on the bits that I know, the bits that we've worked with previously. There's a lot of this. I mean, I've worked with the Fable and Elmish parts of the safe stack a little bit. Never, ever worked with Saturn and the A, which in our case stands for Google Cloud Platform, because we're not running on Azure. The reason for that simply is that Google have given me a lot of free usage in a free trial, which everyone gets. They're not sponsoring this. They don't. I don't even know if Google know that I'm doing this. So just to be clear, as much as I make jokes about it, this stream has, I'm the only money I ever received from this stream is from yourselves. I don't sort of have any sponsors at the moment, and haven't had up to yet, or any of that. So, yeah. But we are going to, just through personal preference, I have deployed actual stuff to Azure. I have done the same with AWS. I've only ever really played with the Google Cloud Platform, so I'd like to know more about it. So it's a good project to get on the Google Cloud Platform. So, now that we have a sort of reasonable understanding, we have a model, we have messages, we have a server module where we can get some remote information from, we have an init function which gives an initial model and a command, an update function, some components, and a view function down here. So, we've seen this. This is model update view. We've been here before. Okay, now we're going slightly out of familiarity. Obviously, there's the index, HTML, there's the CSS, and style.sass, and I don't know any of that sort of stuff, although that looks pretty empty. Why does that look empty? Has this already come with its own styles to some degree? Oh look, we're getting more issues, and there's a marketplace extension for Sass files. Let's have a look at a Sass file then. Extension. Shall we have a look at, how do we sort? So this lint, does this do anything other than just linting? Indented Sass highlighting. Do you know what? We'll go with this one, I think. It has a reasonable amount of downloads. Well, plenty over 1 million, so more downloads than we're going to get. Let's be honest. Okay, so we've got a Sass file. We're going to have to work with Sass then. Oh, it's a version of CSS without curly brackets, isn't it? And you can indent. Yeah, that's kind of cool, actually. It's an attempt to unbreak CSS. How successful that will be, who knows? We'll find out through the course of this series. So that's the client project. Server project is just a single file at the moment with Giraffe and Saturn within it. Remember that Saturn is based on top of Giraffe, which is based on top of ASP.NET Core. So, how about we have a quick glance at the Saturn docs? So let's not look at Twitter. Let's look at the Saturn F# docs. Saturn framework, I possibly ought to have gone for that one to see what this is all about. Now there's also a .NET Rocks episode on the Safe Stack. I think it's a .NET Rocks episode that's reasonably recent. Would it be? I don't know. Yes, functional web programming using Safe with Anthony Brown. So if I stick that link in the Twitch chat, YouTubers, if I remember, I'll get it into the show notes. In fact, why don't I start keeping a list of links for show notes? There we go. That probably makes more sense. So YouTubers, this should be in the description. If it isn't, then just nag me about it. So this is very interesting as a podcast. For those that don't know, .NET Rocks is by Carl Franklin and Richard Campbell. Who've hosted some excellent guests. They've hosted Jeff Fritz, and they talk about all things .NET, and they don't shy away from F#, unlike a lot of, I feel a lot of people do. These guys really don't shy away from sort of fringe stuff, and I still think F# is a bit fringe, really. So we've got that, and yeah, we'll kind of advertise that was episode 1626. If you do go and listen and comment on there, if you say that you come from me, that would be wonderful, please and thank you. Just let them know that I kind of exist. So, Saturn Framework. They know Don Syme, you think, Fuel Snable? Don Syme is, I've never met Don Syme. I think I've tweeted him once or twice and had a GitHub interaction with him once or twice on the Fabulous project. It seems like a wonderful gentleman. Had I had the opportunity to go down to F# Exchange this last week, I would have done. Hopefully next year I'll try and get down there. Boat Loafers, finally some real programming on Twitch. What do you define as real programming, and what are you hoping to avoid on Twitch? Because this could go slightly the wrong way for you, I think. It depends, because I'm actually doing something I swore blind I'd never do. In that I am doing web programming. Yeah. I always said I was going to kind of try and avoid it, but it looks like I'm not avoiding web programming. Boat Loafers, your view on real programming is F#, and more F#. Okay. I would advocate, in truth, expanding one's horizons on that one. I mean, one of the projects that we're doing and that we have been doing on Sundays, and I will probably get back to this Sunday, is in C++. And, you know, we've played in Rust, we've played in... have we done anything? We've done F#, we've done Rust, we've done GLSL, once and once only. That GLSL is great. My knowledge of it, my understanding of it, and my stream on it wasn't. Yeah, avoiding web programming in 2019. Welcome to the BIOS. Fuel Snable, what have I told you about tempting me? I keep hearing things about Rust being runnable on embedded systems with a lot of hackery, and I am getting to the point where I am tempted to just give it a shot to try and avoid web programming a bit. But I mean, we've done mobile programming, we've played with WebSockets quite an amount, so we've had to deal with web stuff a bit. But this is full on web tonight. We'll get through it. We will get through it. Real programming is point-free programming. Insert point-free, no point joke here. To be fair, if you are doing something that makes the computer do what you ask it to do, you're programming it pretty much. I mean, actually, I am gonna suggest, you know, that even that something like, Scratch. For as much as people sort of talk about real programming and not real programming, this is real programming still. You know, I am not a fan of people suggesting that, you know, things are programming and not real programming. Fuel Snable, I know that yours was a question mark. I think I'm sort of replying more to, not just to Boat Loafer's comment, but to that general atmosphere, really. You know, I mean, we've got loops in there, we've got if blocks, we've got if then else's. You know, you can... I don't know exactly how to use this, but essentially if, you know, some variable... hang on. Don't get that. If operators You know, we can do that kind of thing. So I'd argue that what a lot of people are saying about real programming, I just disagree. You think playing Space Chem is programming? I've never played Space Chem. Yes, leave the page. I'm done with that one. Oh, it's by Zachtronics Industries. That already got me incredibly interested because I have a couple of their games. Yes, I would argue that is programming. I would argue that that absolutely is. Yeah, boat loafers. To be completely honest, I get where you're going, and there are languages that I will occasionally rag on. But you know what? I'm getting to the point now where I'm just thinking that a language is a language, and you can program in anything you want for all I care. I think I'd rather have the attitude that we want to encourage people. And, you know, if I don't like a language, I mean, personally, I'm not a big Java fan. I used it at university. I moved across to C#. I'm not the biggest PHP fan going. But I do know that there's a beautiful framework written in PHP called Laravel, which I've used. Used that one commercially. And actually, it's really, really nice. Java, again, I haven't used it for a good number of years. It might be a nice language now, or it might have some features that I don't need but are really handy to people. So, I've gone off the idea of insulting languages I don't like. You know, I think all languages have their place within reason. Obviously now people are going to come out with some of the esoteric ones. I think their purpose is just to show that they can be done. But yeah, I mean, when you mention a game by Zachtronics, I own TIS 100, which, you know, if anyone's going to try and tell me that's not real programming, it is joking, and Shenzhen IO. Hang on, did these guys also do... Did these people also do Human Resource Machine? Because that's, if you know people who don't know how to program, what I would argue is games like this. I mean, Shenzhen IO and TIS 100 are possibly a little bit too far, but you know, Human Resource Machine is an excellent introduction to a really quite a simple assembly language. And then I keep hearing that there's a sequel to this which has got parallelism based in. But yeah, yeah, you bought TIS 100 for exactly the same reason I did, Fuel Snable. You think Space Chem is even better? I know, I've looked it up. Well, do you know something? I do wonder if one day we ought to have the odd stream where I play the odd one of these games. So we could play things like Space Chem or... probably not TIS 100, but Space Chem, Human Resource Machine. Yeah, maybe TIS 100. Shenzhen IO. Playing some of those on stream. What would people think to that? As a little just rarity. On the odd occasion, we don't fancy doing any difficult. Well, I say difficult stuff. No, that's going to be difficult. On the rare occasion we fancy playing a game on stream, what do people think to that idea? I mean, the Space Chem's got some good reviews. Zachtronics, if anyone from Zachtronics is in chat, I can be bought. I've made this point multiple times now tonight. If anyone from, the right companies are in chat, I can be bought. In fact, I am even going to go out on a limb and say I'm not even particularly expensive necessarily. I've already extolled virtues of your games and not even seen a penny, so, back to Saturn. Because, hey, one, I can say that, and two, let's have a crack at this. So, there are a few choices for F# web frameworks. There is Well, you could go down the Suave route, but there are licensing issues down there and political issues that I don't really want to be part of. Then you could go Giraffe, which is a very Suave-like API, or a very, for anyone that knows Sinatra in Ruby or Nancy in C#, very much that style API. And then you can go on top of Giraffe into Saturn, and yes, Boatloafers in chat gets it exactly right. Built on top of Giraffe is the Saturn framework, which I always thought was kind of based on Ruby on Rails, and to some degree it is, but actually what I've been hearing more is it's based on a web framework in Elixir called Phoenix. Which, if I can type, is a framework that itself kind of takes ideas from Ruby on Rails, but is more a functional-based framework. So that's kind of a brief history of Saturn as I understand it. Now, if we have a look at some docs, oh yeah, heavily inspired by Elixir's Phoenix. You know what? If I'd have read this page, I'd have got that straight away. And we can look at some of the design choices on Christoph's blog. I'm not going to try and pronounce his surname, because if I do, I will butcher that, but I'll stick that there in chat, and I'll throw a link into my show notes as well, just on the off chance. So yeah, it's based on Kestrel and ASP.NET Core and Giraffe, which is really, really just kind of, Giraffe's rather low level. So Giraffe, as I recall, and I have played a bit with it, you kind of define a route and a function, and it is that kind of thing. So let's have a look at the Giraffe. So yeah. A web app is choose root ping, goes to text pong, or root goes to an HTML file here. So this is Giraffe, and it's very much based on a route, based on other things.
Grows.
Thank you very much for the follow there, Clark.io or Clarkio. Now, normally at this point, when I get a follower, I ask who they are and where they're from and all the rest of it. But I have been known to go into Clarkio's stream. So, let's shout out for Clarkio, who's been developing an extension for VS Code, if I recall. Oh, and even 300. You are 300th follower, Clarkio. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, have you been working on... I know we've been discussing your... car purchasing woes on stream. Hopefully that's going better than it was when I was in there. Are you still working on a extension for VS Code where people can highlight lines of code in chat? Because as soon as that becomes usable, I want it. I need it. Sadly, the car stuff isn't much better. Oh, damn, bother and blast. And yeah, you're working on the ban feature in the VS Code extension. Ah, yes. So if someone's banned, then their highlights are removed. Sounds awesome. We might actually, seeing as we're going to be using VS Code a lot here, because with F#, I really don't see me using VS Full if I can avoid it. Just because INI'd in VS Code is just that much better, I'm afraid. It is. I mean, I might even change the font, but in fact, let's quickly do that. Because we're back into F# mainly, let's have the... Oh, and we're not working mainly with beginners. Let's have the ligatures back. So let's have that font back. That works. So yeah, this is Giraffe. Reasonably, nice to use, but very low level. So Saturn kind of sits on top of that and gives us a higher level abstraction over a web server, but does it in a more functional manner rather than object oriented. So yeah, it's still MVC, but with functions. So we have some Saturn moons apparently. So how many times can I say so? So to me must be like super for Microsoft employees. Does anyone notice that? Every Microsoft employee has a quota of the amount of times they have to say super. You know, they're super excited about this super new feature. I must be the equivalent for me must be so. Dapper, one of the moons. So there we are. Done it again. That's it now. I've noticed. I'm going to notice every time, aren't I? Instead of using something like EF Core or Entity Framework for database malarkey, we can use Dapper, which is, well, it says there, simple, focus on performance object mapper for .NET, and it'll extend your IDP connection interface. That never hurts to see, though. This is, if people remember, history lesson number 2 tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because we're doing history stuff at the moment by the looks of it. Stack Exchange, Stack Overflow is a part of Stack Exchange, and Stack Overflow was originally built on ASP.NET MVC 1 beta, as I recall, and used Link to SQL back when that was a thing. This is kind of when Entity Framework was known to be cumbersome and lacking, as I recall. So they used Link to SQL and decided it wasn't fast enough. So they've been migrating out from Link to SQL and created a micro ORM called Dapper. Now my thinking is, if Dapper is fast enough for Stack Overflow and usable enough for them, I mean, this is C#, but fair enough. You know, get a query, pass in some SQL, pass in those parameters, and pass them in, and you now get your dog object out. I can be quite happy with that. I think that's a reasonable API to use. We can abstract over that if we need to. I don't know even if we're going to do too much with databases, to be honest, or certainly not to start with. But yeah, I mean, you know, when performance is highlighted as a key feature, you do have to think that that's not a bad way to go. And I mean, the ORM for Dapper is, you know, reasonably quick. I mean, you can go up to, I mean, and Hibernate is looking slow. Link to SQL's looking slow here. EF Core is pretty slow. Dapper with an unbuffered, well, Dapper in its worst case scenario is with all the dynamics, you know, 140 microseconds for this particular benchmark. And EF6 and EF Core, that as fast as they can go in their fastest modes, if they are going in their slower modes, it gets pretty horrendous. There's an ORM called SUSE now. What even is SUSE now as an ORM? This one I haven't heard of. Oh, high performance, low friction micro ORM for .NET with fluent syntax. Alright, see you in a bit, Clarkio. Have fun. Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. And if we can all see Clarkio out the door with, well, if anyone's got doggy emotes, send him out the door with a doggy emote. You know, I've got to remember what to do there to get that. So there we are. Send him out with a doggy emote, because doggo. Fuel Snable, you use T4 for that. Yeah, you see, you don't say that too much in this chat, and the amount of times I've been tempted to do it myself as well. Yes, I have used T4 for that myself. Fuel Snable. I've gone down that route. But don't forget, I'm also a big advocate of T4. Susanoo. Why is it that all I can think of when I see Susanoo is either one of my Vanguard decks, which is basically the Susanoo engine, or Futurama? If anyone can think of Futurama and the term Susanoo, feel free. Don't post that in chat, but I think, I think that was shown at a more sort of reasonable time of day. So I think that's pretty safe to say. Okay, so this looks reasonably similar to Dapper, but is out of commission these days. Either way, I mean, link to DB can be ridiculously fast. I think the point stands that Dapper is fast and reasonably simple to use. And one of my favourite features, actually, that a lot of people aren't fans of, but I really, really, really am, is that it uses SQL. Now, a lot of people aren't fans of using SQL in ORMs. They're, let's abstract that away. But surely SQL was the language designed for, it's a structured query language. It was designed for the job. So let's use SQL there. And anyone that doesn't like SQL, write a T4 template to generate the SQL for you. That's fine. If you want the static type checking, just write the 1T4 template if you need to, or write an SQL generator. I've tried to write an SQL generator before. It's fun. I'm not saying it's easy. It's actually quite tedious, to be fair. It's not that fun. So, unwinding the stack. We have Moons of Saturn and simple migrations. Let's not...
More shall gather. More shall enter the fray.
And I shall fall silent for Wayne June. And thank you very much for that host. Person whose name I'm not even going to try and pronounce. But thank you for the host. In fact, let me quickly do a thing while we're here. Who is hosting me tonight? So, we have SCH3 LPSC2, who I think has just hosted. We have Chief CLL, Jitterted, Yakpie, Sushi Codes, Rambling Geek, James Montemagno, Pixel Logic Dev, Brendan Matthews, the Grumpy Game Dev, Clarkio, and my multi-extruder. Thank you very much all for those hosts. You are all most kind. Have I ever used Slapper before, asks Boatloafers. I have never heard of it. Is that... Please tell me that that's something similar to Dapper. So there's simple migrations. It's a migration framework. That's all we really need to know about it. I don't want to go into too much detail because we're already about 40 minutes into the stream and I haven't done any code yet. And that feels itchy and wrong. And you will have to excuse the fact that I forgot to mute my microphone like an idiot before that cough, because I am indeed an idiot. So, Slapper is used with Dapper. And what does Slapper do that Dapper doesn't? Try saying that with a mouthful of marshmallows. Okay. So, yeah. Essentially, we've got an application, a router, controllers, views, channels we don't yet have. You'll notice a distinct lack of models here. That's interesting. I don't know. And how to contribute. And hopefully at some point we'll be able to do that the same as we did with Fabulous. Let's try and contribute to as many open source projects as we can and be good programming citizens. We often hear about being good citizens and being good space citizens. So how to start in 60 seconds. Okay. Yeah, we're not even going to bother with that. What we're going to do is dive in and ignore the fact that documentation exists, because hey, when have we ever done the documentation thing before? Answer, chat. We don't. We try not. Well, we don't try not to. It's just that we've got so jaded with it, or I've got so jaded with it. I can't use the royal we on this channel. Okay. So server, we have here. Ooh, why is all this coming up on this particular what's it on this particular account? Ignore the red lines, people. This does work. And I shall give VS Code a kick if it requires it. Extensions.json, launch.json. No, they're all pretty reasonable. Actually, the launch.json exists, which means we can do things like debug server and debug client and the builds. Can we do a build from here? Does VS Code do builds? Build current solution, why not? Let's try it that way. I essentially just want... What do you mean you can't be found in any parsed project? Server.fs proj contains server.fs and shared.fs. So VS Code is misbehaving. Let's do a restart to update and see what happens. Because why not? So, Boat Loafers, you mentioned that Slapper is used with Dapper. What is... I don't want to Google for Slapper on stream. I get the feeling that that's going to go badly wrong. So let's do it on a different screen, shall we? Slapper is an auto mapper. So is this the project that you're on about? How's my File Explorer black? Yeah, that will be a Windows Dark theme. I'm on the Insider's Fast branch, and I wish I weren't, to be honest. But yeah, Windows Dark themes now take your File Explorer with them. So this is slapper.automapper in the Slapper project. So is this what you were referring to? Slapper.automapper. I'm never going to mess this up. So convert C# dynamics and iDictionaries to strongly typed objects. And uses underscore notation to underscore into nested object. First thing I think is I'm gonna have to do that edit now, aren't I, on here? Is there an easy way just to kind of say, "Oh, I'm going to edit"? Yeah, there is actually. Let's just quickly, while we're here, do a couple of things, because this is really getting on my nerves that the formatting is this out. So I'm thinking that this should pretty much be it in here. Might have one or two more of these. Wow. Why is it that I'm trying to do an F# stream and so far I've done almost everything other than, wow, there's a lot of this to do, other than F#? Is this what you were looking for when you wanted real programming on a stream? Ladies and gentlemen, adding spaces into Markdown documents to make them more pretty. Okay, we are getting near the bottom now. This shouldn't take long. Well, I did say that we ought to do one thing we ought to do was try and contribute to as many projects as possible. And I think that in our own little way, we have been doing some of that. Oh, and we missed one there. That would have been embarrassing. And let's now go for fixed markdown formatting. And there are a number of people now just watching me get irritated about markdown formatting. Okay, that's able to be merged. Let's just throw a pull request in. Why not? Okay, cool. If we need to use an automapper, I will contemplate using slapper.automapper. I don't know if we do. To be honest, I don't think I've ever used one. I think everything's either been mappable directly from the ORM or complicated enough that I've wanted to map it manually. That doesn't mean that I'm against the idea, it just means that I've never done it. So, okay, not restored. Well, why have these not been restored? Let's do restores on them both. And a .NET build. Fair enough. Packet restores are failing because packet isn't there. So realistically, we've got to do it with fake. Let's have a look at the README and see what the first thing we should be doing is. We need to install prereqs. We need to, well, let's try and just run what we've got directly. And we don't have something, apparently. Packet hasn't come down. Okay, so we need to put packet into this. Packet obviously didn't commit to GitHub. So let's pull this down. Let's go download packet from GitHub. All I want really is the bootstrapper, as I recall, because what I need to do now is hang on. Let's not open that file. Let's open the containing folder. Let's go copy that, drop it in there, paste. Oh, all right. Forgotten you had to do this. Paste. This now becomes called packet.exe, doesn't it? And then this is the point at which we commit this into the repo. So let's go into source tree. Just make sure we're doing this correctly, because if not, this can go wrong. Let's stage, not that, we don't need that necessarily, but that will be packet.exe, packet bootstrapper. That way, anyone, when I open this project up, anyone should be able to pull it down and build it pretty much immediately. That's my theory anyway. So let's have another go at build and run. And as if by magic, it's flung up a web browser. It's flung Firefox up. Is it going to do it, though? Is it going to give us what we want to see? Yes, it is. That is the safe template Old Man Teacher Edition. This is wonderful. This is what we're looking for now. So at the moment, we have a counter that starts off at 42. We can press buttons. We can change it around. Now this, if we go and do an inspect and go into the console, is actually a a React React application. So let's pull the React DevTools down. Why not? It's a Mozilla add-on, that's fine. So go on, let's throw React DevTools in. Let's have another go, and hopefully, yeah, we can see this. So this is React DevTools. It's built on Bulma. Well, Fulma, which is built on Bulma. Again, it says Saturn, Fable, Elmish, Fulma, Fable.remoting. So Fulma is the theming that's been used here. And I don't know what this React DevTools actually is meant to show. Press buttons to manipulate counter and a number. We've got props, children, class name that you guys can't see. Let's do it there then. So you guys will be able to see across here the children, and again there's props on here. It's all very Reactish and all stuff that I don't really care about too much. But we've got it on. So that's the first part. We've got an F# application running. I've dealt with the deployment to Google App Engine behind the scenes. And, you know, in true Blue Peter fashion, if we go to OldManTeacher fun2 dev.appspot.com, maybe? Yeah, and this is this exact same application. So if people want to see how it works, feel free. And I'll stick it there. What was that? I don't know what that was that just popped up. I mean, I know I was pressing buttons and things, but yeah, that's a new one. Okay, so this is what we have so far. What are we aiming to have? Now, I remember saying that we were hoping to have something like the Handmade Hero watch page. So essentially, down here, there's previous episodes. You can search for things like direct sound, and it's all pretty immediate. And you can click there, and it not only just takes you to the video, but it takes you to the point in the video where that's done. Now, I won't show any more of Handmade Hero. That's enough. Am I perchance going to the Socrates UK Unconference later this year in June? I've never heard of the Socrates UK Unconference. Would you stick a link in chat if you would be so kind, please? And I shall have a look. In fact, now, let me ask this properly. Would you kindly put a link to that in chat, please? Anyone who gets that reference, let me know. Come on, someone's got that one. Someone knows what I've just done there. Someone knows it. Someone gets the reference. I shall be very disappointed if nobody posts into chat that they understand why I asked, would you kindly put that link into chat, please? Anybody? No, really? Please tell me I got the reference right then. It's a bit far away from me. Google references Bioshock. Google correctly references Bioshock. I am pleased that you did do that. I'm slightly disappointed that it had to be done through Google, and that no one managed to pop up with that one. Oh well, we have some learning to do here. So what is Socrates UK 2019? Let's have a quick look. It's an International Software Craft and Testing Unconference. 6th to 9th of June in Surrey, which, that's a fair way away. When's the 6th to 9th? Is this a weekend? Thursday to a Sunday. Okay, so a couple of days off work to do I'd have to take the week off essentially. You're driving from Belgium. Depending on where in Belgium you are, you're no further away than me. There are parts of Belgium that are about as close to Surrey as I am. Granted, you've got to do the Eurotunnel, I haven't, but apart from that, it's reasonably equal distance, actually. So, non-profit, international software crafters retreat for open-minded crafters who want to improve their craft and the software industry as a whole. I will have a look at this. Tickets. Let's have a look. I don't want a twin room. I'd have to have a single room. Wow. No, feel free to interrupt the stream. Always interrupt the stream. Always, 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 please interrupt the streams. Yeah, unfortunately, for cost reasons, that's a no. I'm not. Unfortunately, I would either have to, at that price, I'd either have to go there or I could have, a week away with my partner somewhere in the sun. Which I'd end up pretty single if I picked this over that. Gosh, that's for 4 days. I didn't pay much more than that for 4 days in. I didn't pay much more than that for 4 days in Disneyland Paris, including flight. F-Sharp exchange is going to be £1,200. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. I'm not in a. I'll be honest, I'm not in a position where. Okay, I work for a very small company. My company would love, and I mean this. I know that there are 5 of us in the company. We're not as much as my managing director would love to pay for us all to go to conferences. We can't, as a company, afford it. It's just not something that we can do. It would be wonderful, and I promise you that our managing director would love to be able to do it. He's, anytime I've mentioned going to a conference that's cost no money, but has been, I've had to take a day off for. He's been so happy to allow me to take that time to go to a kind of a day conference or whatever. So. But unfortunately, we're such a small company that we've got to be so careful with where we spend the money. And at the moment, that's not somewhere we can. Personally, £500 for an unconference, I can't justify doing, and I can't really afford that. I mean, anyone that was following this stream in the early days when I was on the old computer will possibly remember when I was talking about buying a new machine and the struggle that would be just to get this new machine and having to compromise there. So I'm not exactly rolling it. Fuel Snable. 5. There are, let me think, 3 developers, managing director, and and someone who does marketing and that kind of thing, marketing materials. Do I have a Patreon? Fubarius, I still haven't decided that a Patreon would be the right answer for me. However, I will meet you in the middle. I have a Streamlabs donation link. So, if you can tell me why a Patreon would be better than this Streamlabs donation link, and again, I keep trying to get the conversation in Discord, but it's only, I don't get much response to the idea of a Patreon, so I don't think it's really worth it yet. It might become more worth it. I'm still oohing and ahhing over that one. I still want to think about what rewards are good at what tiers, and how to set those up reasonably well. Anything not Amazon is fine. I think the other thing with this Streamlabs link is it's a direct PayPal payment. So as long as you've got PayPal, it's fine. If not, I think you can just use it anyway. And I don't even think these guys take any money off you. And also, any donations that go through Streamlabs should crop up over there somewhere. Should. Patreon would be better if I'd also produce content other than Twitch live streams. The only other thing I'm doing at the moment is uploading these to YouTube. Obviously with the 24-hour delay on them. Unfortunately, I mean, I do have a full-time job as well as this, so I can't really spend huge amounts of time on content creation. Plus, it to some degree, it's not really my bag. As someone that's sitting here on Twitch right now, to sort of go and edit videos and all that, video editing and getting all the licenses, it's not a me kind of thing. I don't do the polished niceties. If you're Snable, in Sweden, there's a really good conference that costs about $20 for a full day with breakfast, lunch and snacks. Now, here's a point. If that's a $20 conference, flights to Sweden I can get reasonably cheaply. I think I could probably get to that conference, attend the conference, get a cheap B&B or a cheap hotel, Travelodgy style thing. I could probably do that conference cheaper than I can do one in the UK. So that's something, I mean, it would be pretty bonkers to go to Sweden to a conference where John Skeet, who is also from England, is speaking. But hey, it might be the cheapest and best idea. Who knows? But yeah, I would love to go. I mean, they are two gentlemen I would dearly love to see speak. My copy of C# In Depth 4th edition is sitting on the kitchen table right now, and I don't think I actually own a book by Scott Flusheen, oddly enough. But I've referenced F# for fun and profit on this stream pretty much too often. Yeah, and you'd have the day in Sweden, or, I could probably have 2 or 3 days in Sweden and still do it on that price. I mean, breakfast, lunch and snacks is over 20 quid in some places. Would I go to Socrates UK if I didn't have to pay, or if my ticket was paid? It depends. It's really weird. I would rather not go to a conference if I thought it were overcharging. Now, £500 for 4 days, is that an overcharge? I don't know. It all depends on how expensive or posh the hotel is. Would I go? Yeah, I probably would. A nice long walk around the Oh no, we'll have the code retreat. I don't want the long walk. I don't like long walks. Social activities, open space. It's somewhere that I would be moderately interested in going. I'd like to know who was going. I'd like to know that it was not so much big people, but good people were there. So everyone shares the hotel. I think, I mean, this is on the spot. I think if I didn't if there were no cost involved, I would probably go. But frankly, I would rather a subsidy go to people who are less well represented in the community. I mean, I am a white male who speaks English as a first language. I would rather, in the main, any sort of subsidies or any kind of sponsor places go to less represented people or people of minorities who have less opportunities than I do. just from a sort of standpoint of let's get as many people into development and into the craft as possible. I think that would be a lovely thing. You'll say, but when there's a schedule for 2019, you'll tell me there's a catch, though. They only do it on Saturdays. Saturdays are great to me, to be fair, because I'd probably be able to fly out on a Friday, fly back on a Sunday, and only take one day off work. So, 2 nights, 1 day, and a flight each way. That's not out of the question, actually. Depending on who's speaking. And, I'd like to know who's speaking before booking tickets. But, I don't see why I can't go to Sweden for a day. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Don't sort of send me one expecting me to turn up. But I don't immediately see an immediate issue with it. I mean, what's the code of conduct? This is another thing that I'm kind of worrying about, Okay, so they have a code of conduct, and it is a reasonable one by the looks of it. Why, Fuel Snavel, do I not doubt that? Why did my non-committal answer, my entirely non-committal answer, give that response? Oh, and by the way, we're now over an hour in, and I still haven't done any programming, and I don't really care that much. So check out Socrates Open Space Meetup. Maybe there's one near me. I doubt that, but okay. Let's have a look. How would I find a meetup near me? Because these are all internationally ones. Let's have a look. We're going way off course here, but hey, why not? So those are all the conferences. Yeah, there's London. Are these all the? No, these are the conferences again. So there's the Cambridge one, which is still miles away. I will do that after the stream because I did say that I was going to try and do something on this stream. So that in mind, let's have a look at embedding a video into here. So let's have a look at the Twitch API to do that. So Twitch embed video. Let's actually go back to the ground. So embedding video and clips. So this is VODs. We've got a VOD that we want to play with. We don't want it to just be an iframe. We want it to be an interactive one, I think, because we're going to have to play with it, which means we've got JavaScript to play with as well. Cool. Because we can F-sharpify this, I think. So, what is the difference between an interactive and a non-interactive inline? And I suspect the answer to that is very, very simply, well, we can use the non-interactive one because all we want is the time, really. So let's, as an idea, go, and that's an optional query string parameter on the iframe source. Okay, so we could actually, in theory, do something about this. So let's go client.fs. Where shall we stick this for now? Let's just stick it under those buttons. And we'll work with it later. So under those buttons, which would put it there-ish, I would say. That's content, that's a container with content, with a column. So in theory, it should just go somewhere like that. Now obviously this isn't F#, so iframe, yes, and this has attributes, cool. So let's go source, and instead of setting equal to something, let's say that let's use the actual video. Now this is dangerous because the actual video that we're going to be using is, how do I say, rather sweary. So at this point, I do apologise if I forget to mute the old man and he comes out with his usual colourful language, I will apologise for that. I do hope I do manage it. And he is an excellent streamer. It's just that, obviously, some people allow swearing, some others don't. OldManSethus's, let's go and have a look at your videos. So, you're hosting Miante at the moment. Cool. Let's not have that ad supporting Twitch. And we have the Beginner's Guide to Darkest Dungeon, which are the streams that we're looking for, and it is this particular video. So this is the first one that we're going to deal with because we have timestamps for this one. So let's say we've got that as a source on the iframe. Let's see if I can remember how to do nice tabby things. That'll be, let's stick the capitals in. And I'm not convinced that all of these are going to be on here. So source is there of string, height is of object, width of object. Frame border, we're getting nothing. That's because of that. Scrolling is of string, and allow full screen, I suspect, will have a capital there. Maybe even a capital there. And it does. So you're sort of suggesting that I go to... Sorry, I'll catch up with chat again, shall I? Suggesting that I go to meetup.com and look for Socrates meetups. Looks like my ideas are very much aligned with theirs, and I belong in that community. That's something I'll definitely have a look at. Don't ever be sorry for bothering. Don't start apologising for being an awesome person and chatting in this stream. Then again, we've got awesome lurkers as well. Basically, don't go around apologising. Just, you know, as I try and say as often as I can, I do like to get stuff done on stream, and if that doesn't happen because I'm chatting with you guys, well, you know what? I'm here for you guys. If I wanted to get this done fast and now and all the rest of it, I wouldn't be bothering sort of stream. I wouldn't be streaming it, would I? So we've got a Moni. That's because an iframe can have content. So let's fill in a height. Let's suggest that height could be 1280 width. Well, so heights are not correct there. Allow full screen. Well, we're going to say false for now. Scrolling. Well, what is scrolling on here? Height, I'm still surprised that that's giving us a problem, so ihtml prop.height. Does that deal... Oh, ihtml prop.height doesn't seem to exist, because it would be HTML atta, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. That makes much more sense. So let's suggest that we're on decent sized screens and we can do 1280 by 720 frame border. I don't know what the frame borders are, so let's go and have a look on the Google thing. So iframe. In fact, let's have a look at the Twitch docs as well, shall we? Let's do that thing. I say let's do that thing. I could be struggling here. No, that's fine. So, scrolling indicates when the browser should provide a scroll bar or other scrolling device for the frame. Recommended no. Okay, well let's say that we're going to go with Twitch's recommendation of no there. Frame border. Why is frame border showing up here but not down here? Frame border. Anybody showing a frame border? Well, let's stick a 0 in. A lot of people seem to be thinking that 0 is a good idea. So for now, we're going to go for 0 there. That's a frame border of object, actually. Width of object. Keep it with the zeros. Now we've saved. It seems to be recompiling on save. This is quite nice. So now if we look at the local version, and it's not working. Why is it not working? Ladies and gentlemen, we are having fun times again, aren't we? So the iframe has its size, but then everything, well, 1287.21, I've got that the wrong way round because I'm a moron. Actually, I'm going to keep doing that, so let's do it this way. Let's go width, then height. Okay, so now at least we've got something, but that iframe is showing us nothing. Why is that iframe showing us nothing? We need to look at this more closely, and that's because we need player.twitch.tv, don't we? And what are we using as the source of our iframe at the moment? We are using www. So it's player.twitch.tv, and then just the question mark for the video. Cool. So let's again go back and get the correct URL in. That having been done, we should now see a Darkest Dungeon playthrough beginning. And we do, and if we click start watching and quickly mute that, we start seeing the old man stream. That's cool and all that. But that all we've done there is a quick body thing. So I've got a text file with timestamps in this stream. So if I bring that up, I can look at these timestamps. And let's say, for instance, we want to look at the part why attack to crit. So what we would put in the iframe source at this point would be and time equals, and then these are HMS. If I recall, whoa. Stupid computer is not behaving. I don't know why this happens, but for some bizarre reason, it started to do that. So yeah, I genuinely don't know what's up. I think it's a keyboard issue. I don't know. If anyone can help. Hi, OldManSethus's. How are you doing? Sorry, I've just been missing chat because I've been having a fail. Because I'm bad at streaming. Yes, that is you. You might recognise a bit of this project. So if we go to an hour... By the way, can everyone please welcome in OldManSethus's? If this is a Bluetooth connection issue for Berius, I would be surprised. This is a wired keyboard. I don't believe in wireless keyboards for exactly that problem, actually. Although I do have the Bluetooth adapter plugged into there. So let's not have it plugged in there. Let's have it plugged in somewhere. Oh, I don't know, down here. Live sorting issues out on stream. Because that is how I am. Let's welcome you. I think I've got a welcome command. You've had your keyboard do it as well. So it's welcome in OldManSethus's. Yeah, so we drink coffee on this stream, and of course Nightbot doesn't have my emote. So anyone that does have my emote, let's show OldManSethus's some little yappy dog love, if we can, please and thank you. So is there anyone online that does have my emote, or am I going to be the only one sending some yappy dog love? Let's send some yappy dog love that way. Let's just do a thing. So 1 hour 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm not surprised you love the emote, OldManSethus's. There's a dog involved, and you know the artist that did it. Rissa is brilliant, isn't she? So we now have, this is OldManSethus's stream. And we have the text file, and we're saying that we're going to look at the wiretap to crypt bit. So what you'll probably... Hi, Miss Brienne. Yes, I'd forgotten that this was still running. By the way, that is up there one of OldManSethus's dogs. She is Princess Brienne, and she is most wonderful. There are other dogs in that household as well. I am incredibly jealous because I'm still yet to have a dog in my household. That needs to be fixed. So I have... Have I saved this file? Yes, I have. So if we reload this, in theory, this should go straight to, and it didn't. Why did it not do as it was told? Let's go and have a look at what it says about time. Default is whatever. We've got the autoplay, the muted. Time of the video where playback starts. And it doesn't seem to have the zeros in, so it might not like the leading zeros. Okay, that being said, let's remove that leading zero. Save it again. It's compiled. And now, is it going to play nicely? Is it? No, it isn't. Let's have a look. Let's just double check that we have... I mean, the time is there. So we have collection, we have time. So why, Twitch API, why will you not behave for me? This is not a good thing, people. This is bad news. Optional query string parameters on the iframe source includes time in that format, and I'm going to go for no. And it's a collection ID. Right, this is why it's doing it. We're using a collection ID because I am goof. What I should be doing is using a... using the video itself. So can I get to just that video ID? How do I get the ID of an individual video? This would be interesting to find out. Can I not just get a video's ID? Why is this not going to happen for me? See, we get the video ID for week 14. Oh, that's we don't want to see that, do we, people? If you try sharing a video, it'll generate a link to. Cool, that's an old bosses run. This is the old mod classes. This is the educational DD stream one. So that is the video. Excellent. We can get it. So if we now go and video equals that one, maybe the timestamp in the format that I produced it in previously will work. And if we go to our version of that, we see that it does. There we go. We've got the timestamp there as well. Excellent. So, next question. If I throw up a... if I change the timing to be what we want it to be, so if I parameterize this out and go, well, actually, let's have that as a string of, I don't know, sprintf in here. And instead of that timing, let's go cut that and say model dot. Well, it'll now have a time because we'll declare it. And that can go into %s. So model.time doesn't exist. Cool, we can make that exist. That can be made as a thing. Time is a string. And then that can already go for time equals... Actually, it was minutes and seconds, wasn't it? Hours, minutes and seconds. Okay, so... current model with in here, so that it doesn't care that we don't have a different model in. So in theory, this should now work. Let's create a... Let's create another set of columns for some buttons. Again, this is just mocking up, making it around. So let's say beginning and crit. And they will dispatch a set time message that will have the strings in there. So let's say no hours, no minutes, no seconds. And another closing bracket there. Let's have this one as a dispatch of set time and a different time in it. So that will be, oh, I don't know, 1 hour, 20 minutes and 25 seconds, something like that. Doesn't really matter for now, just to sort of demonstrate that we can do this and that this is reasonable. So, set time doesn't yet exist, does it? That's fine, we will make that exist. So let's make a message. That message can be a set time, and that is of a string. So now, what's moaning again? We've got that opens not right. What's going on? An unmatched open square bracket. Hang on. Have I got my square brackets wrong? Yes, yes, I have actually. That's more like it. The update function should now be moaning, except it doesn't because we've got underscores there. No! Oh, hang on, initial count loaded. So this is matching the counter and the message. Okay. I'm not sure I like the fact that that catch-all exists, because then we'll leave it. Because again, we're ripping this lot out anyway. I just want to make sure we've got something. So we don't care about the counter, but the message needs to be a set time message. And that'll take time, and all we want to do is, again, a very similar process to before. Let the next model equal that current model with this time as time. Why is that not playing nicely? Ah, yeah, because we don't need to indent that in, because that is the return value. So in theory, if I now... Well, that's already rebuilt itself in theory. So if we go there, we can click beginning and go to... Well, we should be able to go to the beginning. So that hasn't worked. That's fine. Crit has worked. Okay. So it's just going back. It doesn't do the refresh. And this is not interactive. So this is actually a very, very bad user experience. We don't like this. I don't like the flashing. So we're going to have to use the JavaScript experience given. So we're going to have to use this style of frame. Now the question becomes, can we use this kind of frame and make it work nicely for us? I think we can. And what we'll do is we'll have a 5-minute break because I'm detecting cold coffee. I shall go and get myself another coffee, and then we will, in about 5 minutes' time, have a look and see if we can improve this. So please come back in about 5 minutes or so. Have a listen to some random kind of non-copyright. No, I think it's copyrighted. Some random music. If it's anything like Elm, we'll need a port. This is very much like Elm. This is the Elmish architecture. So please help me out here. What are we on about with ports in this? F# can just use side effects anywhere. Yes, we can in F#. I'd just rather not, truthfully. So anyway, I'm detecting cold coffee. I'm also detecting that we've been on stream for nearly an hour and a half, where I've been yammering away and getting very little done. Mostly of my own doing, actually, tonight, which is quite a rarity, in fairness. So, I shall see you all back here in 5 minutes. Go and nip to the loo, get yourselves a drink, have a stand up, have a walk around. Look after yourselves, everybody. Make sure that you get your eyes away from the screen. And we are back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. So, SCH3LPSC2. Have I seen your name? Have I seen your name in OldManSethus's chat? In which case, if I have, how do I pronounce that? Because I don't have a Scooby. And that is bad news. So, just to catch up on chat, we're looking at command.funk or something. Yeah, probably. So, realistically, I now need to call that JavaScript Twitch API from Elmy. Yeah, that's reasonable, I think. Let's do some zooming action so that we can all see. I don't know how hard that's going to be, though, really. You don't think I have. I can pronounce it as Shelp. Okay, Shelp. Where have I seen your name before? I'm terribly sorry. I'm not particularly good at remembering who, what, and where. Yeah. And I seem to remember that name somewhere, but I'm not sure. To be fair, I don't know how difficult this is going to be to write, really. I mean, let's have a look. Okay, that I don't like the look of, but there we go. Oh, am I getting any frame drop? No, but I'm getting quality drop, am I? OBS is flashing yellow and orange. Does anybody who knows OBS know why OBS is flashing horrible, nasty colours at me? If I go off that, does that help it? Yeah, okay, so it wasn't a fan of seeing that JavaScript. Alright, I'm not going to disagree with that. So, Fable Twitch API. It might just be that I'm going to have to up the bitrate, which I'd rather not have to do yet. The reason I'd rather not have to up the bitrate is it's already at 3 meg, and with us not guaranteed to get transcoding, I really don't want people not to be able to work with it. See if there's a TypeScript definition to it. Do you know what? We don't need to. All this is, if we see, is we can pass parameters and then we've got playback controls which are synchronous. And all we actually need is the seek. Yeah, let's just do it ourselves. We can do this. We're intelligent enough here. So instead of doing the other thing, I mean, what does this... the timestamp is a float in seconds. Okay, so we're going to have to convert to seconds. That's fine. I think we can do that. So let's see if we can at least get this kind of thing to work. Let's steal that for now. And chuck it in another file. Yeah, Fubarius, that's exactly what I'm thinking is, could we just use dynamic calls? So, let's get rid of this iframe, because this iframe isn't the answer. Let's chuck a div tag in there with an ID of old man video. Because he keeps trying to claim that he's old. Am I missing? Yes, I am missing a close. Because that's me. So we've got the div. Now, I'd suggest that we could possibly even just have the player... We've got to start passing this Twitch player around, haven't we? So, the initial model, there's a command of async initial counter, which does the server API stuff. Do you know what? I half wonder whether to rip the server API stuff out of here for now. And that's an async of counter. So it's that, then unit, and then OK composes to initial count loaded, error composes to initial count loaded. Okay, that's that. Oh, it's a task, an arg, success, and an error. Okay, let's not do that. Let's do set up Twitch as a command dot of func, and that takes a task, an arg, an of success, and an of error. So actually, just keep the command of async, turn it into a command of func. Initial counter isn't initial counter. Oh gosh, this becomes interesting. A to a message, B to a message. Oh wow, there's a lot to deal with there. Let's carry on here. So what we need to do is we need to create an options and then create a player based on those options and keep that around.
A gleaming endowment.
Oh, thank you very much, Fubarius, for that wonderful, wonderful donation. Was Wayne June's voice loud enough, everyone? Did we all hear the wonderful tones of Wayne June? So, but thank you very, very, very much for that wonderful, wonderful donation. Once again, people, if you want to donate, yes, please, but obviously only ever donate what you are up to donating, what you want to, and what you can afford. Yeah, I think that counter needs to die, and to be honest, I think it's going to completely die. I think let's not even talk about having that counter. Let's not have an initial count loaded. That whole counter stuff goes for now. I'm going to comment that out because that bit could be interesting to keep around for later on. Although saying that,
our community grows.
Thank you very much for the follow, Schlep. Do you know what? We don't need any of that. We can learn it all again later, anyway, if we need it. Counter being none, we don't care now. Time, that's fine. Let's say that we're going to have a different command there. Yeah, Wayne June's voice is simply amazing, Fubarius one. If you like that voice of Wayne June and would like to play a game where he is the narrator, may I recommend to you Darkest Dungeon. Now, Darkest Dungeon is a bit of a pain to play. It's difficult to learn with. There is a streamer who is doing a Learn How to Play Darkest Dungeon stream. In fact, he'll be on pretty much straight after we've gone offline. He is called OldManSethus's. You might have seen him in chat. You might have seen that we're doing a website to help with those training streams. So, drop him a follow. Drop the old man a follow. And just do yappy dog stuff. You know, because as much as he might be all about the pit bulls, I'm about the yappy dogs. Mainly because this house ain't big enough for pit bulls, and we can't kind of legally have them here. Because pit bulls. Yeah, that's exactly the same stream. Red Hook, who developed Darkest Dungeon, made an ancestral bestowment of wonderful... allowed Wayne June, asked Wayne June and the sound company who worked with them to create some Twitch notifications. So, as much as we don't play Darkest Dungeon here, just as a little bit of a nod to Darkest Dungeon, especially now that we're working on something related to Darkest Dungeon, I thought that would be quite nice. Fubarius, leave them be. Leave the Final Fantasy series be. Go and play Darkest Dungeon. 1800 hours later, you can go back to your Final Fantasy games. But believe me, just go and play Darkest Dungeon. Red Hook, I can be bought. Red Hook, if you're listening, I can be bought. Blasphemy? No, it is not blasphemy. Look, it's a game that includes stress as an ultimate killer. It is a game where, HP doesn't matter that much, but you do not want to be stressed in it. It's brilliant. Just do yourself a favour and get Darkest Dungeon, and then thank OldManSethus and die. It's very simple, really. That's what you want to do. Believe me, yeah. Okay, so we've got that lot removed. Let's not have that split so wide at the moment because we're just ripping out the timey stuff. So timey stuff can go there. We're only going to match the message at the moment, so that's fine. That's just with set time, which will do something slightly different. Safe components. So we've got the components with that span and all of that in. Show is a function around from model to string. Okay, that's interesting. We don't need it. Button, text on click. Cool, we can carry on with that. We do not need buttons to manipulate counters. We don't need any of that whatsoever. So it can die. I probably killed one thing too much there, didn't I? Yes, I probably did. I think, maybe. So that container needs to contain just that column. No, I probably didn't. Where does that go? So that one's to that one. So no, I didn't kill too much. It's only moaning because of that. So we have now got rid of all of the county stuff. That is cool. Yes, as Nightbot's just pointed out, come and have a chat in the Discord. Always there. It's one of the few servers where it even notifies me when anyone chats. So I'm usually available there, even if I'm working, really. Fuel Stable, one of the favourite games from a few years back was Hotline Miami. The graphics are basically Amiga graphics. Well, you've already got me intrigued. Does it have the gradient sky that makes it classic Amiga, though? I say that as the proud owner of an Amiga, of... How many Amigas do I actually own? 1200, a 600 somewhere, and two 500s. So 4 Amigas. An actual Amiga monitor. Yeah, I like the Amigas. Oh, it's top down. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I grew up on the 500 as well. I grew up on a 500, then I had a 500 plus, then a 1200. Then that 1200 sort of found itself in a tower with a CD-ROM drive because, hey, you can. So I actually learned how to program I learned how to program BASIC on a Spectrum, and my first foray into HTML and things was on the Amiga 500 Plus. Was it, or was it on the 1200? Either way, the Amiga and I have a very long history. Yes, Amos. I remember Amos. Not only do I remember Amos, but Fuel Snable, if you ask about Amiga Basic when Minxie Rose is in chat, which if you give it about 15 minutes she might be, all things being well, even Minxie Rose, who is not a programmer, will remember something about programming on an Amiga. I will guarantee you that. Oh, why do I just now want to change all of my follow sounds to Lemmings? I don't even have any Lemmings stuff on my sound deck at all. I mean, my sounds are... they're pretty reasonable. I need to work out which of these I don't use that much. But I like having them all there, but I know I want Lemmings ones. It's so annoying. Damn. Shadow of the Beast featured in Lemmings, did it not? Do you remember the Shadow of the Beast Lemmings levels? Just for the crazy. Tell you what, Fuel Snable. No, I'm sticking with Wayne June for sub-sound. Wayne June is just far too cool to have any other kind of sound. So we've stripped out the timing stuff. Let's now have a look at how we introduce this player. So how do we keep this reference to a player around in the Elmish architecture? Well, I would suggest that we need that in the model, don't we? Would that be reasonable? Do people think that sticking the Twitch player in the model is about right? Because that's something that we're going to be calling methods on. I mean, this is as nice an API as this is. It's pretty horrible to work with in terms of the Elmish architecture, I think. Or do we keep the player as a out of the model actually? And then just call things on it. Other than that. So have, say, we could make our own, couldn't we? We could make a type player. We could wrap it up. We could even be naughty and do a bit of OO development. Let player equal. Now we've got to embed this script somewhere. Now, for the purposes of this, I propose that we actually throw it straight into the index.html here. So, let's chuck it in. Let's chuck that one in the header. Global state doesn't bring any benefit. It's a pretty good idea for life, so it doesn't. But how do we effectively avoid it? Do we stick the player there? Do we do whatever the JavaScript object for this so happens to be? Init could create it. Yeah, I agree that init could create the player, but then where do we keep it? I mean, init should create it, in fairness. But we need to keep a reference to it so that we can, on clicks, we can issue a command to change, well, not the volume in this case. So we can change so we can seek to a particular time span. Okay, so there's more game references coming in. Good evening, Voodoo32. Let's see who can get on the welcomes to Voodoo32. Especially with Yappy Dogs. Yappy Dogs are always welcome in chat. Anyone that doesn't have Yappy Dogs, feel free to spam Torm emotes. Or any other dogs that you may or may not know and love. But you must love dogs. Because dogs. No, Voodoo32, that bot is not running right now because I knew it would be misused. Welcome in, Minxie Rose. How are you doing? Right, now we can all talk. Go on, there we are. I knew there'd be an OldManSethus mention. As soon as I mentioned Torm, I knew you'd pop straight back up again. I can always bait an old man out dead easy. I'm gonna catch hell for that in his stream tonight. I'm pretty convinced of it. Yes, doggos are amazing. Right, I've got to fight back against that now, haven't I? Because I've got to go for the little dogs. So let's do some of those and. Let's hype it up for the little dogs that we know. Right, Fuel Snable. If you've been playing things like FTL, as I have repeatedly said to people, Darkest Dungeon. Do the Darkest Dungeon thing. Just trust me. Like I say, I even know where there's a tutorial series. I even know someone who's been crazy enough to do a deathless run on the hardest difficulty without the DLC. I know someone who's crazy enough to mention doing a deathless run with the DLC. And Minxie Rose ain't no lady, OldManSethus, believe me on that. Yeah, that is the documentation I wanted to get to, Fubarius. Thank you very much. So, we can do namespace imports. I don't know as we realistically can with this. Essentially, we can use the global attribute with an optional name parameter instead. So, what are we saying? We are suggesting... we can have import expressions as well. Again, I don't want... I don't really... We don't have namespaces to play with. We're not playing with nice JavaScript, are we? We're playing with... Twitch.player? We might be, actually. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So we can open JS-Introp. We get import expressions. So import member, import default, and JS Native. Let's have a look at JS Native. Let's do a thing. So import, opening that up. I now want a... Well, this isn't from Express. So let's have a look at what import does for us. So let's say that... Oh, now good shout there, Fuel Snable. I have yet to play Braid, but I would love to. So we can import functions as well. We can import types. Can we do... Okay, so there's Pojos as well. That's handy. And we can create a JS object from an interface. There are foreign interfaces that we can do. D.ts files are there. Okay, so there are things that we can do here. And we can do type erasure if we really need to. So, coming back up, importing JavaScript code, we're not going to be using ES 2015 imports because we don't get them. If the values, you can use the global attribute with an optional name parameter instead. So, let's have a look at this global name parameter. Let's learn how to Alt-Tab. So, this uses let. And these are of type just obj. Let's go outside of the Elmish thing for a moment. Let's go for global and that would be Twitch. Let Twitch as an object equal JS native. Okay, that's fine because we don't really care a huge amount. Twitch is only going to be used as a so that we can call .play on it. So player is an object. If I can learn how to type. Minxie Rose, you've broke your finger. How have you broken your finger? What have you done that for as well? Fuel Snable goes for spin tyres. I've seen that played. I've never actually played it. What's it like? Let's say that the initial model has player equaling JS native as well for now. Why is this a problem? No assignment given for field player of type client.model. Well, actually there is, but I've forgotten how to do things. Banged your finger into a bottle of whiskey, Minxie Rose. The important question here, however, Minxie Rose, is did you break your bottle of whiskey? Because if you did, that would be a problem. If it's only your finger, that's fine. That fix is free on the NHS. Your bottle of whiskey is, however, very important. Video, I will check my DMs. With it being the editor, I'll have a quick look now. Aha! You have more syntax highlighting working. Most excellent. Yeah, spin tyres, driving trucks on a muddy Far East, get stuck. Yeah, get restuck, get stuck again, and then play it online and everybody gets stuck. Yeah, that sounds like spin tyres. Of course you did. I am glad to know. Oh, yes, bracket matching in that editor. That's starting to look reasonably well featured, actually, Voodoo. I am impressed. I was glad you didn't break your bottle of whiskey. That would have been most upsetting. Gift from your sister-in-law. What kind of whiskey did you get from your sister-in-law, Minxie Rose? And what are the medicinal notes on your whiskey? Because I need to know all about your whiskey. Because as family-friendly as this stream might be, hey, alcohol exists. Deal with it. He says trying to drink cola and failing. So, okay, let's try and create this Twitch player. So this now needs to be a command of func. Init player. Might as well do that and then go let init player equal a command of func, which we take a function. So it takes a task, an argument, and of success, and of error. Okay, cool. So the task is going to be a unit to a Twitch player, I suspect. So, White and Mackay. Good call. I quite enjoy that. So this needs to be create player, which we haven't defined yet. It's going to take unit, and it's going to be well, do you know what? Let's just pass unit into all of those. I suspect that they need to have unit to message and exception to message. Okay, so well, the exception to message is reasonably simple, I would say, because I would suggest that it just needs to be a something like that, where error is now a message. So let's declare that that is it. Cool. What's this moaning about? This one's brackets around it, doesn't it? Okay, and we could just actually go for error there and go more 0.3. So the OK style goes from something to a message again. So let's just say player of... Well, that's a unit, isn't it? So that can just go to player loaded. And again have a message in here. Like that. Oh yeah. Function and create player. So let's make ourselves a create player. Let's let create player equal something. Well, first off, I want an object. And then we're going to pass it through. So we can create a JS object reasonably simply. So fable.core.js interop implements the F# dynamic object, so you can easily do that. Pojos. So we can do something like this, can't we? So let options equal all this nonsense, but to-dos, we're not going to use to-dos, we're going to use width, height, channel, video, and collection. Channel and collection are going to be nons, that's fine. Video, we have a link, well, we have a number there, so let's suggest that we're going to use that. Width can be 1280, height can be 720. So that's filled in the object there. And now what I'm hoping we can do is go Twitch dot and then player. And I was kind of hoping that that would just be a JavaScript native object called Twitch, and we could do that. So if we're working with JS Native, I think we can just do that actually. And then that's going to take both an ID of the div, which we said was OldManTeacher. Did we not? OldManVideo, cool. We'll grab that. And options. And in theory, we now have a player created. Now that is a unit to a unit. That's not nice. I wanted to get something out of that. So how do we access a constructor in Fable? We can't do it that way. Let's see if the word new applies. Ah, create new. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, and it's tupled, is it? Okay, let's pass the tuple. Create new. It's just moaning about it. Takes an object and some args. And spits out more args. Okay, cool. So create player. Ah, this has to be unit to object. Okay. This was expected to be an object, but has type unit, so let's say that that's player. Well, let's now just go player loaded and give that a player. So that'll be of object as well. Fuberius, check your link from before. Would it be the Fable import blobmaster leaflet.fs line 243 link? So you can do an emit on there to do the new. I'm not convinced we need to do the emit though. Because the docs are saying that create new will essentially do the same thing. let's see. Can we just compile this to JavaScript and have a look at the JavaScript? So can we do Fable compile and just look at the plain JavaScript? I'm not convinced we can actually particularly easily. I think it becomes tricky. Let's have a look at the REPL. Minxie Rose, you are now a mod in OldManSethus's channel, are you? Congratulations! So that now means you can do shout-outs for him. I would say I wasn't particularly jealous, but no, I'm not particularly jealous. I'm not. Okay, so let's have a look at what actually happens here if we look at the... Can this... okay, this is definitely a REPL. Can we do... Is there anything that will just show us the compiled JavaScript? Yes, you can shout him out here as well. We've already shouted the old man out enough times. Do we get to see the JavaScript? We don't. Do you know what? Let's just roll with it. Whoa, I just quit the wrong program there. Ha, I am good at that. So, this is doing nothing. In fact, a save there. So it's compiled at the very least. And in theory, actually, we should already be able to see that old man video turn up. Should we not? So let's... Do you know what? I'm going to kill that terminal entirely. And rebuild and run. Just because that was not looking particularly great. Okay. So it's compiled. It's running. It's waiting for localhost, and it's waiting quite a lot. So what's actually going on here? What's gone on? Uncaught exception. Warnings while compiling. JS native is being compiled without replacement. This will fail at runtime. Ooh, we're getting fails. Maybe we're doing something a little bit silly here. Let's have another look at the docs. So we want to create new JS object. Now is JS object a... Look at Fable core JS interop. Okay, we can't really. Yes, that is exactly what we get when we do it. The problem is we don't have a fat lot of choice, do we? So how do we make that JS? So global with an optional name parameter instead. See, I'm half wondering if we need to do the emit new trick. I'm kind of hoping that we don't. Let's just for the kicks, let's suggest that isn't a thing. And let's see, okay, so Twitch isn't there now. So is JS object a thing? No. So this needs to be global of a string. So how do I call what is essentially a static? We'll look at this. Great. guide. Did it translate to new player.player? I don't think it did. Did it? How would we find out? That's another question. Let's go there. Well, the value or constructor Twitch is not defined. Okay, that we know. JS object isn't defined, so let's bin this output and have another go at this. So it's moaning that a function supposed to be replaced by JS native code has been called. Please check. So what we need is JS native is being compiled without replacement. So let's have a look at what this is saying. We've done all the npm installs, yada yada yada. We've got the console loggy stuff. We know how to do that. So there's an emit. Do you know what? We could just emit that, couldn't we? Why don't we do this? Why don't we suggest that just emits the word Twitch at that point? Here, Sethus, I hear that you've been promoting Minxie Rose to mod in your channel. Is that wise? You know, I mean, she's modding here just because I couldn't put up with the money if she wasn't. I mean, you've got the Dragon Lady, I've got Minxie Rose. Now, don't worry, I love you really, Minxie Rose. Don't kill me. Please don't kill me. So that's now moaning that JS native is being compiled without replacement. This will fail at runtime. Why is it saying that when emit? That should work. So emit. You can just emit. See, my theory should have been that should have just emitted the term Twitch. Well, hang on. Just for the fun of it, what gets declared where? If we go and have a look, there's vendors app style. Now the Twitch gets called first. Minxie Rose, don't forget, I can be just as evil back, and you know it. If you're gonna give me the abuse you give me, I can easily give it back, and you know it. So pipe down. Excellent. Glad to hear it. Good girl. Damn, I am really in for hell for that one. Oh well. It's my house still. I'm fine. When are we C++ in Voodoo 32? Probably on Sunday. So, okay, there's an app.js file. Does this ever call Twitch anywhere? Return new Twitch dot. Whoa, I've gone back there. I'm fine. I'll be fine. I mean, in fairness, that is exactly the code I wanted to see. So why is this not working? Nah, I'm fine. Don't forget to get me cheese. Oh dear. Fine. I'll be fine. It might be fine. Do I not have... source maps in here. How do I debug Fable apps, people? How do I do this? Is there a way? Click the... Well, hang on, let's go to at least there. Aha! Well, that's at least done a bit of pretty printing. That's fine. I don't see a way of getting back to the F sharp, though. That's my issue. And this is all in a nasty, nasty eval block, isn't it? Yippee. That's a pity. So we're never really booting up, are we? Player loaded or error. So that's the command of function of what's it? We need to go and have a look. Well, let's have a look in our update and suggest that we do a console.log. Well, it'll be browser.console.log, won't it? Ah, there we are. Dot. Console.log there. Yeah, that'll do. Console.log. Current model. Why not? Let's have a look at what's going on here. Exactly, you see. Minxie Rose knows these things. So we haven't even got to there. So what's create player doing? Let's at least go... See if we get the options out. Doesn't look like we're getting even to there. It looks like it's the compilation that's going screwy. Warning, Fable. JS Native is being compiled without replacement. This will fail at runtime. So, why is this happening? However, that emit there claims to work. All I want to do is emit the Twitch thing. Let's see if we can parameterize this. Dollar and a number. Okay. $0, $1. And that is now going to be a Twitch player that takes a div as a string and options as a what does create object returns just an object. That's fine. And then we're going to say that we're going to go and just go Twitch player. And it can take old man video and options tupled like that. What's this moaning about? Twitch player is not defined. Have I misspelt somewhere? Let Twitch player. Oh, hang on, because I got a colon there, didn't I? Okay, so we're compiled with warnings. What are my warnings? JS Native has been compiled without replacement. This will fail at runtime. Again, I'm not convinced I agree with that. And whilst it might have failed, and I believe it possibly has, let's see what's happening here. Check the Webpack drop-downs in the file list there. Okay, let's go to the debugger. Webpack and Webpack Fable. Webpack source client. Oh, hello. Client.fs. So I want to stuff a breakpoint there, don't I? In theory. And have we got there? So what are options at this point? Do we get to hover over this and find anything? Call stacks there. We've got an anonymous scope, a block scope with looking for options in any of the scopes. Any of the scopes at all. We've got Twitch, which has a player. So we've got Twitch in scope. That emit new Twitch player should work. So if I F10 over that, that should be fine. Let's pause on exceptions and even caught ones. So again, my question becomes, what is going on here? And we have a syntax error there. Okay. Well, that's a bit annoying. Let's carry on running. Okay, so let's not pause on caught exceptions because I assume that that will have been a caught one. Paused on a breakpoint. New model of that and a function supposed to be replaced by JS native code has been called. Please check. Okay, that makes more sense now. So it's not actually the original one that we had that was a problem. No worries, Schlep. Have fun. Thank you very much for joining in. And yes, everyone, come and join in the Discord, please. So what's been going wrong is not this one with this emit. It's actually this player that has been set as JS native originally and has not changed. So for now, that player, that initial model containing that player, so it's this that's been the problem. And that just needs to be some form of object. So let's just say for now it's a create object. And it's an empty object. Now that should have given us a little bit more joy, shouldn't it? So if this is going to start reloading anyway. Let's let this all run through. In fact, let's turn that off and run completely through. And then just fire it up again. Right, we've got something again. So we're not completely scuppered. we have that container contains Old Man video. It's just now that it's not, well, it isn't working yet. Let's not say it's working, but we do at least, have a player that's being created. We don't yet do anything with that player. Let's stick that player into our model. So in theory, we could go back and remember the syntax we were using for this. And that should now be a global of Twitch, or just an emit Twitch. And that just needs to be let Twitch as an object equal JS native. The player injecting itself into a managed element could become a problem too, couldn't it? Not sure. Where are we getting an issue here? So create new. Yes, of course, that needs to then be wrapped there. So create new. That will spit back an object from create player. And go into player loaded. Player loaded takes an object. Why is that not going to happen? That was expecting a something to an object and then to a B, and was given a something to a message. So what's happening here? Of func is a something to a message, and essentially what we're saying is this should be fun of player goes to player loaded player, which should work. And we've got breakpoints still set, don't we? So yeah, we've unset those. Not sure exactly what's going on. Thank you, Nightbot. You're being most unhelpful at the moment. So what have we got here again? We've got this inspector. We've got this div. It's unfortunately doing not very much at the moment. What's in the console? Precious little, actually. We get a message. We get an updated state on the player. So the player loaded happens with a... Okay, with a create player. Okay, that wasn't what I expected to see. I expected that to have a field of an actual player. So at some point, this create new. An object to an object to an object. Well, because again, that is the issue there. So let's recompile and rerun this. And now our object here, the player should be a player. Updated state again. So we've called... Oh, it's gone. It's errored. What's happened? Type error. E is null. Oh, we're getting nulls. Ew. Console log options. Well, where was object? Options. Options is there. That's fine. So let's have a look at what we're supposed to supply in the options. Let's have a look at some examples of options. Okay, so we don't actually have to specify if we don't want to. So let's not specify the channel or the collection, because they're things that we don't need to specify, and see if that helps us out. So we have an initial state, we have that's the player that we are creating. Hello, Ryan Roberts, Cubs lover. How are you doing? Yeah, funny about hitting roadblocks. I'm at one now. So what's happening again? E is null again, I suspect. So why has that errored? That's the big question. I mean, this should now be able to go back to there. Takes an ID, takes options. That's fine. We can do that. Let's have a look and see if in the right, it's trying to do hot updates. I don't like that at the moment. Let's at least make it do a thing fresh. So the updated state, that player is never actually set because it's an error. So Twitch create player is erroring out. You're learning Python, but you feel like quitting, you don't want to. It's just frustrating when it's not working. In which case, take a break from it, get back to it with fresh eyes, is honestly the only advice I can realistically send, is just take that break. Otherwise, it's going to grind on you. That's one of the unfortunate things about doing this live streaming, is I haven't really got that option to some degree. App.js, why are you now trying to load instead of succeeding at loading? What is happening here? In fact, let's go and swap across the Chrome debugger, because I do quite like the Chrome debugger in fairness. So let's go sources, app.js, and you can't see any of that, can you? Dock it to the left for now, I think, then. So I want to see if Twitch appears in here. Oh, wow. All the lovely and slow. So return new Twitch dot player, old man video, and options. And options contains what we want. So if I now suggest, just for the fun of it, let's go in the console. New Twitch.player old man video, and then height is 720, width, oh yeah, and of course with JavaScript objects, so we'll do that. $1280 and video as that. And it's come up. Okay, so creating that Twitch player has happened. Let's see what happens if I start removing quotes from places and see if that works again. Yeah. So why are we getting that working in vanilla JavaScript, yet I try and build it here, and I'm only doing the same thing? Let's go back to the... Let's do some undoing here. Let's say that's new Twitch.player. Let's say that create new Twitch.player needs to be undone as well to just that. Let's say that the player's create object of that is fine. So this should all be fine, and this should just emit the right thing and do the right thing. We've also got, let's Do you know, it doesn't even matter. So Fuberius's guess is after the model update, the view is updated and the managed element is replaced. Oh, that could be a thing, couldn't it? Oh, that's nasty. So what? Fuberius, in the init, the element doesn't even exist yet. Okay. So we're creating it, just that that element isn't there. Oh wow. Hmm. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, so how to trigger a command after the view has been rendered. No, it should be fine by that. Oh, so you use a ref. Okay, so so we've actually got to realistically create a React component. So we could create a static React component here, couldn't we? But then we're not using Elmish at all, really. Or are we? I don't know. Yeah, I know, Minxie Rose. I know there's that time's ticking away. I think I'm gonna have to what's it? I think I am just gonna have to run over here because otherwise it's going to be an issue. So we've got the command of all sorts of stuff. Modelize your model. That's fine. Everything is a function. That's fine. Passing data as an argument. That's fine. I can do that. What situation do you need to explain, Minxie Rose? Because I think, yeah, just drop me messages on WhatsApp, Minxie Rose. I can read them quickly because I'm now confused and interested, and I need to know. No, no, Voodoo 32. I'm not. I'm not planning to. Okay, so custom commands, toast. So there's all sorts there. Wow, I'd never even thought of the init being called at the wrong time. But yeah, you're probably right, actually, on this. Oh gosh. Let's have a look. Let's find out if this is... that will be right, won't it? Because the element isn't even created in HTML. It's created directly in Elm. In Elmish. So where does this leave us? Because this makes life tricky. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Nah, it's just Minxie Rose explaining things to other people rather than to me. That's fine. I get that one. Oh, this is interesting. Hmm. Is there... Let's have a look if there are things that we can do. Well, making that new Twitch player, I suspect, is something that we can do. Synchronous player status, playback controls, required parameters. So we need to create that once the DOM has rendered. So when isn't it called, and how do I fix this? So view as a pure function. I mean, right, so what happens? Dispatch loop is render view, trigger the message, send the message with the state. Yeah. I want the initial state change though. I want the initial thing here, don't I? I want to know when init is called, and I suspect it's called before the first view. The only other thing I can think of, and I'm not convinced I like it a huge amount, but I'm not exactly against it, is to do this. Is to go, because we don't necessarily need that there, we just kill that off. We go into the HTML and we do a kind of... It's kind of Elmish. No, I didn't get my hair cut. It just lay flat today. I do intend to get my hair cut very soon, though. Okay, so just to see if that is the issue, let's see what happens now. I believe I'm going to have to... And this is going to look horrible. Why does Control-C not work in here? Have I really got to kill that terminal and do this? Because I want to do a rebuild, because I don't trust everything. My theory says that this is going to look absolutely horrible, but possibly work. And my theory is... What's going on? Something's going on. Okay. No, and we're getting an error. E is null, and that comes from there, and the stack. Aha, we have a stack. That's kind of handy. So, how do we get to that particular bit there? Because somewhere there's a null happening. Shramble 11, F# is a programming language on the .NET framework. Is the simplest way of putting that. One and then it's 13, 1,370 characters in. I don't know how to scroll right that many characters. How does one scroll to a particular... I mean, we could always just kind of go, well, that's nowhere near. That's not going to play nicely, so VS Code's going to cry. That's a bit of a shame. Yeah, similar to OCaml. In fact, genuine OCaml code will run in F# usually. So that's not working. That's having none of it. So we're passing in a null somewhere. Something is a null somewhere. Now we've got that div ID. So in theory, if I go to here, we've already got that. And that's there before we even get that app.js. That app.js relies on the Elmish app existing because it mounts to it. It mounts to that div. So let's have a look at the ref way. Let's have a look at it. Let's do it. Let's try this out. Okay, so to do that, we pull that back away. We then go into the client, we pull that back in. That then has an ID and a ref on it. And we can look at what this code actually does. So the div has that ID and a ref that says if X isn't null, then we'll init actually, can I quite easily? Yeah, I probably could. Okay, so if X isn't null, what's this moaning about? Not is null X. Well, you know what? Let's not bother with that. And what we're saying is if we're not null, I'm not bothered about the if, the else there. All I want to do is actually just create player, don't I? Let's for now go and in theory, and I say this advisedly, and that is completely the wrong thing to do, in theory, we have OldManSethus's stream up there. Hey, we actually have the stream up. Do you know what? Let's do it. Let's pass the player through into the model. So we're getting somewhere now. Let's pass that player into the model. How do we get the player? Well, let's make that return. That returns a player. Cool. So we can now go. What was the message we set that to be? Player loaded. And then another closey bracket. Okay, have fun, Tramble11. Good night. I don't think I'll be streaming that much longer anyway. Oh, hang on. We don't need that else at all because we're going to shove that through dispatch. Do we not have a dispatch there? Hang on. I'm being a fool. Let's put it where it belongs. Okay, that's handy, because now what we can do in here, remember this update function that we had with setting the time to be the time? Well, we can now instead, we can now also go next model dot player dot question, and it was set time. Time is now going to be a float, which is fine. We can deal with that. That now means that that is going to be 0.0, and that has type string. Why does that now have type string? Because time takes a string. Cool, that's now a float. For now, just try and make this work before we go offline quickly. These will now moan, so that's again 0.0. An hour, 20 minutes, 25 seconds. Let's do a quick calculation on that. So that's 80 minutes times 60 plus 25, 4825. 4825.0. Try 4825.0. And in theory, if we now go back to here and make this work, okay, that's now creating multiple. Alright. So that's an issue. So where did we go wrong here? Okay, so we need to make sure that we don't have a player. Excellent, cool. That's fine. So we need to make sure that that player is set to, well, at the moment, let's just say it's none. Let's make it a null. Or let's make sure that actually it has no width. Or no height. So let's say that the height is less than 10. Or even that it doesn't have one. Let's see what happens there, just for a quick hack. So let's assume that the player isn't set up ready. And try and mount it only once. And that hasn't worked, so... yeah, height of undefined. What does player normally have on it? Because I'm actually not sure if player even has a height. And we have kind of broken things there. So... yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Can we do none instead? Of course, none. We set that up as a null and do... oh, this is... I don't like this particularly, but we'll give it a go. Where's my initial player? Player is now going to just be null. Okay, we'll at least go with it. Fortnite World 2019, please don't spam chat. I don't think it's very polite of you to have just straight away come in and advertised another Twitch stream. So I'm sorry to say, but if I can get a mod to, well, let me quickly do it. I've had to purge that. Yeah, that would have been too easy, wouldn't it, Fubarius? So yeah, I'm sorry. I've had to purge that for, and I will, because that's really rather bad manners. Just to sort of come and advertise another stream without saying hello. So, I mean, feel free to chat again. Feel free to drop by, chat again, and actually engage with chat. But I'm not having people coming in and just straight away advertising other streams. That's not acceptable. Why don't we just do a thing, you know? For the easy. Again, this is probably a bit silly, but and then on that update, we will do a player loaded. Player. That's the other thing. We never actually set the player, did we? Don't I feel like an idiot now? So actually, we don't need that initialized either, do we? Yeah, I didn't catch that either, Fubarius. What's the X? I don't know what that X is, to be honest. I'm wondering if we even need to find that out. Be interesting. Right, just for importance, is that if there is anyone under 18 here, do not join this raid. I am going to do something that I very, 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 very rarely do. So fair warning, we are going to be raiding someone that is incredibly sweary tonight, because I think it's only right that we raid the streamer who we're featuring here. So we will be raiding OldManSethus's. Now let's have a look. Beginning and crit. So the buttons... Oh, hello. We're having an issue here, aren't we? You say it's working. I'm going to argue that it probably isn't. Because if it were working, that button would have sent us out to the right place. So let's have a look at why this isn't yet working, or yet working correctly. And I've noticed that we've got the console coming up as well. Oh, next model.player.setTime is not a function. So what is the function actually called? So it has to be a JS native here, doesn't it? And it's called seek. Okay, typo issue, but that's fine. Let's see if it is just the typo. So we're going to run this again. One problem I am noticing is there's a lot of not very much speed here. I don't know if this is us being in debug mode or what this is, but it does need dealing with. Okay, so we're there. And if I click that button, yes! Arm thrusts for the win! Oh, that is happy days. That is definitely a success. And now what we're going to do is I think we ought to go and raid over to this bald old man who is incredibly sweary. Thank you very much for the bits, Fuberius.
Stole.
So let's go and raid a Darkest Dungeon teaching stream. And yeah, he is incredibly sweary. So, warning, warning, warning. Big warning. Because I've never done this before. We are raiding somebody that I know swears. And he swears a lot. Like a very, very, very lot. If anyone has a problem with incredible use, huge use of bad language, of, you know, very, very... Basically, he is a no-holds-barred kind of guy. Completely no-holds-barred. So, we will raid him. I don't know if we're going to get that many people across there with that warning, but I do want everyone to say a great big hello to the old man when we go across. He is an amazing streamer. He is the streamer that... I mean, the reason I'm willing to raid him now is that he is the streamer that we are doing this with. And we'll actually be using the project, so I think we all, those of us that can, need to go and see him. But, once again, OldManSethus's swears. Right, raid calls. For subscribers, it is going to be the following. It's going to be this one. So, if you have the Gareth Hype emote, if you are a sub, you are to use that raid call, please. If you do not, then let's use, oh gosh, are there any dog emotes given straight away in Twitch? Let's say for those that aren't subs, use that raid call. So for those who can use the doggy raid call, please do. For those who can't, it's the Gareth Yappy Dog raid. So let's see, is he about to go live? Is the old man is live? Right, let's go for it. Let's go across. I will see everyone on Sunday for some C++. We'll have another play with the bot and see if there are more things that we can do with it, make it even more fun. So let's go and have a chat to OldManSethus. Once again, big warning, and I will say it again, he swears a lot. This is incredibly bad language about to be used. So be careful, but let's do the raid. Remember the raid calls, everyone, because we need to be heard in this channel. Alright, off we go. Good night.